No!
Starry Eyes was directed by Dennis and Kevin, who both have very confusing last names, released back in 2014. Together, the pair also had their hands on Holidays in 2016 and Pet Sematary that just came out a year ago. It was partially funded by a successful Kickstarter campaign back in 2013, I believe, where you could donate $666 and you would get the Lucifer status and earn a big ass pendant. Quote. It received 393 backers, over $52,000 was raised, and apparently they didn't even spend it all, though I have no way of making sure. It was then premiered in South by Southwest. We follow a hopeful young actor, Sarah, who is working at this restaurant that resembles the Hooters. When she finally gets the role that can lead to her breakthrough, she realizes that fame's price is not always easily paid, and the film gets kinda crazy. Starry Eyes is a Me Too movie disguised as a horror film, or a horror film disguised as a Me Too movie, depending on how you see it. The first half of the movie makes it very clear that this is the situation our main character finds herself in. The casting director wants her to do something she isn't comfortable with, the producer doing things that are extremely inappropriate, and you're kind of just letting the film take you with her. You don't really know where it's going, but you're in it for her. You feel terrible for her because the entire first half is her trying everything to get to her goal, but at every turn there's a huge obstacle blocking her. But they never went overboard in regards to making her just a weak and sour character. You still emphasize with her despite the hand she was dealt. This also extends to the quote-unquote friends she hangs around with. A passive-aggressive fellow actor Erin is always there to make her feel down. Her roommate Tracy doesn't really respect her privacy, and her boss at the diner, who's already kind of fed up with her constant phone checking during work. There's a fantastic scene that got me very excited early on when she goes to an audition, and with some simple editing and a clever idea really, the script she held in her hand started changing, and it really got me pumped for what's coming next. The film tackles Me Too before it was really popularized and known to the general public, and when you're making a movie like that nowadays, you better present something that isn't preachy. And I think Starry Eyes was ahead of its time, and it shouts its message loud and clear while satisfying the horror fans who just want to see some crazy shit. Also, there's a scene of one of the friends who flat out said to forget about big studios and just make their own movie, and the fact that these guys got the funding from a Kickstarter project, just the more reasons to admire them and to be inspired. Our main lead, Alexandra Esso, I've seen her in Midnighters and Dr. Sleep as Wendy. She is incredible here. It requires a lot from her. It's not an action film, but this is a very physical role. It's also a very emotionally challenging role, and she sold every moment laid on paper. What an agonizing performance. The cinematography is mostly handheld in deeper depth of field with wide lenses. The lighting is mostly very diffused and soft, creating this slight glow in the subjects. The color palette can sometimes be very pale. It's not exactly a relaxing film to look at visually, but I would like to point out that the handheld part of it sometimes gets a little distracting. It looks like they're having the camera breathe just a little bit too much at times, that I almost felt like the shake was added later in post. I don't know if that actually happened, most likely not, but I'm just saying it gave off that feeling. While I don't have anything against the pacing, as it really shows you the transformation the main character goes through in a very surreal and up close way, in retrospect, it does feel the last act of this thing just came out of nowhere, even though you understand everything that led her to it. I understand why it has to be done, but the film isn't exactly infused with such an idea. The side characters pretty much have nothing to give other than making the hero's journey even harder, but when it comes to characterization and purpose beyond plot, there's not much there. The subplot of her working at the restaurant and her conflict with the boss doesn't really go anywhere. The hair and makeup work is incredible, especially towards the latter leg of this thing. It shows you things, but also not too much to a point that it becomes some kind of gore porn. It is restrained enough. The ending is pretty cool. I have my own theory that I would like to think exists somewhere, but I can't get into it because spoilers. The curious part in me doesn't really want to believe that the story is that straightforward, so let me just say that. Starry Eyes was a little offbeat. There are things that I didn't anticipate, but it comes with pros and cons. It's more about how you balance the whole thing, and they did a fine job. It is at times painfully nondescript, but I subscribe to the intention and ambition. Strong 2.5 to a light 3.